When Daniel moves into the old Holloway house, he thinks he's found peace. But the mirrors remember everything, and someone inside them has been waiting for a new reflection.
It started with something so small that Emma almost convinced herself it didn't happen. The mirror, the one hanging in her grandmother's hallway, blinked. She was dusting it off, cleaning out the old house after her grandmother's funeral. The air smelled like lavender and mothballs, and the sunlight filtering through the lace curtains looked fragile, like it could shatter. Emma had grown up in this house. She remembered playing dress-up in front of that mirror, twirling in her grandmother's pearls. But today, as she wiped its edge with a cloth, her reflection seemed late. It lagged behind her by half a second. Her hand froze. She tilted her head to the left. Her reflection followed, but slower, smoother, almost deliberate. Her breath caught in her throat. She blinked hard. When her eyes opened, the mirror was normal again. Just her own face, pale and tired. "Grief," she muttered, shaking her head. "That's all it is." But grief didn't explain the faint fingerprints on the inside of the glass. Small, childlike, and not hers. The house was too quiet that evening. Emma had decided to stay the night, partly to keep sorting through boxes, partly because she couldn't bear to go back to her apartment in the city. Her grandmother had always said the house was alive with memories, though Emma used to think that was just sentimental talk. Now, lying awake in the upstairs bedroom, she wasn't so sure. Every tick of the clock seemed to echo louder than it should. And somewhere downstairs, she could swear she heard something faint. A whisper, or maybe the sound of small feet running on old wood. By midnight, she was sitting up in bed, heart pounding. The mirror, she realized, was right across the hall. It's just a trick of the light, she told herself. Old glass, old mind. Still, she got up, crossed the hallway, and turned on the light. The mirror reflected her perfectly now, but something was different. Behind her reflection, faint and blurred, was another figure. A little girl in a white dress, standing just behind her shoulder. Emma spun around. No one was there. The hallway was empty. The air was cold. When she turned back to the mirror, the girl was closer, her face pressed up against the glass, eyes wide and colorless, mouth open as if she were whispering something Emma couldn't quite hear. Emma stumbled backward. Her heel caught the carpet and she nearly fell. "Stop it!" she hissed, at herself, at the mirror, at the air. Then she ran into her room and slammed the door. Morning came with weak sunlight and a pounding headache. Emma convinced herself she dreamed it. It was the grief, the exhaustion, the old house creaking, nothing more. Until she went downstairs for coffee and found the mirror missing. The wall where it had hung for decades was empty, the nail still there, swinging slightly. Her breath came short. The thing was heavy. She couldn't have moved it in her sleep, and there was no one else in the house. Then she noticed the trail. Faint smudges on the floor, like something had been dragged toward the basement door. She stood frozen, every instinct screaming not to open it. But she had to. The basement smelled of damp earth and dust. Her flashlight beam cut through the darkness, and there it was. The mirror, standing upright in the corner, facing the wall. She slowly walked toward it, every step making the wooden floor groan. When she touched the edge, the surface rippled, just slightly, like water. And from behind it came a voice, faint but unmistakable.
Emma didn't sleep that night. After finding the mirror in the basement, she had dragged herself back upstairs, locked the door, and sat with her knees to her chest until dawn broke through the lace curtains. When she finally dared to go downstairs again, the air in the house felt wrong, thicker somehow, heavy with dust and something she couldn't name. The mirror was still in the basement, facing the wall, exactly as she'd left it. She stood at the top of the stairs, flashlight in hand, trying to decide what to do. A part of her wanted to call someone, maybe the estate manager, maybe her friend Claire, but what would she say? Hey, my dead grandmother's mirror is moving on its own? There's a ghost child in the reflection. No one would believe her. And besides, she wasn't even sure she believed herself. So she went down there again. The smell hit her first. Musty wood, damp stone, and something metallic like rust or old blood. She slowly circled the mirror, crouching down to check the floor. The smudges she'd seen earlier were clearer now, small handprints, as though a child had dragged it there. But there wasn't a child. There hadn't been one in this house in decades. Her grandmother never had kids besides Emma's mother, and her mother had died years ago. There was no one left. Emma hesitated, then touched the mirror again. The surface was icy cold. Her reflection looked normal, though her skin appeared paler than she remembered, her eyes darker. When she leaned closer, she thought she saw movement again, something fluttering deep within the glass like shadows underwater. "Who are you?" she whispered. And for a split second, she swore she heard a response. A girl's voice, soft, shaky, like a whisper coming from the other side. "Help me." The voice vanished as quickly as it came. Emma stumbled back, flashlight beam jerking across the walls. "No, no, no," she muttered. She backed toward the stairs, but froze halfway up. Something cold brushed her ankle. She screamed and spun around, shining the light down. Nothing. Only dust and cracked concrete. Her pulse thudded in her ears as she climbed the stairs, two at a time, slamming the basement door shut behind her. That night, she poured herself a drink, whiskey, neat, and sat in the kitchen staring at the phone. Her finger hovered over Claire's number. Claire would tell her to get out of that house, to sell it, to burn the damn thing if she had to. But she couldn't leave, not yet. Her grandmother had wanted her to keep this place. In her will, she had written, "The house is yours, Emma. Keep it safe. Especially the mirror." At the time, Emma thought it was a sentimental old lady thing. Now it sounded like a warning. By morning, she decided to learn more. She found an old chest in the attic, her grandmother's. Inside were yellowed photos, brittle letters, and one small leather-bound journal tied with a ribbon. The first page bore a name, Margaret Holloway, 1947.
Her grandmother's handwriting. The entries started ordinary, notes about house repairs, her husband's health, garden weather, until one in particular caught Emma's eye. It was dated June 12, 1953. "The child appeared again today. At first, I thought she was just a figment, but she speaks now. She says her name is Lily. She never blinks. She knows things about me she shouldn't. The mirror hums when she's near." Emma's blood ran cold. She flipped to another page. "I tried to cover the mirror. The humming stopped, but then I heard crying from inside it. I uncovered it, and she was there again, smiling. I don't think she wants to hurt me, but she's lonely. She said she used to live here before us, that her mother locked her away. Henry says I'm losing my mind. Maybe I am." Emma sat back, journal trembling in her hands. The house had stood here for over a century, before her grandmother, before her family. Could the little girl be real? She looked up toward the ceiling, toward the room where the mirror once hung. A sound echoed faintly through the halls, a soft knock, then another. From above. When she climbed the stairs, she saw it immediately. The mirror was back on the wall. Her heart stopped. She'd left it in the basement, facing the wall. She knew she had, but now it hung perfectly centered, spotless, as though it had never been moved. Her own reflection looked exhausted. Behind it, the hallway stretched empty. Then, just for a heartbeat, the reflection smiled, but she hadn't. Emma staggered backward, knocking a vase off a side table. It shattered across the floor. She didn't even flinch. Her reflection still smiled, that same faint, knowing grin. And then the glass surface shivered. The reflection tilted her head to the right, a motion Emma hadn't made. A whisper, almost inaudible, drifted through the room. "Do you remember me?" Emma shook her head violently. "No, you're not real." But as the reflection leaned closer, its features began to change. The hair grew lighter, the face softened, smaller, younger, until Emma was staring at the pale, ghostly child she'd seen before. The girl's lips parted. "Grandma said you'd come back." Emma felt the blood drain from her face. "What did you say?" "She said you'd set me free." The mirror began to hum, low, vibrating through the floorboards. The girl pressed her hands to the glass, and Emma could see them again, those same small prints on the inside. Emma stumbled away, her breath sharp and uneven. The humming grew louder, until the glass pulsed like a heartbeat. She bolted down the stairs, tripping over her own feet, until she collapsed near the front door. She grabbed her keys and fled. She didn't stop driving until she reached town, a 30-minute blur of tears, sweat, and panic. At a diner, she ordered black coffee and tried to steady her shaking hands. Her reflection in the window looked normal again. But when she blinked, the glass flickered. The girl's face appeared for just a second, upside down this time, whispering something Emma couldn't hear, before vanishing again. That night, she booked a motel room. She told herself she'd go back in the morning, grab the journal, and call someone, a historian, a priest, anyone. But when she woke up around 3 a.m., her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She answered, groggy. "Hello?" For a few seconds, only static. Then a faint, childlike voice. "You left me in the dark." The call ended. And on the mirror above the motel sink, written in the fog of her breath, were 5 words. "You promised to come back."
Emma hadn't planned on going back. After that night in the motel, the call, the writing on the mirror, she'd sworn to herself that she was done. She would sell the house, burn it, demolish it if she had to. But then, 3 days later, she woke up to find her grandmother's journal sitting on her motel nightstand. She hadn't brought it with her. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. The ribbon that tied it shut was missing, the pages yellow and damp. But a new entry had appeared in fresh ink. "You can't leave her there, Emma. She's part of you now." She stared at the handwriting. It was her grandmother's, unmistakable. Except her grandmother had been dead for 10 years. Emma threw the journal across the room. It hit the wall with a dull thud and fell open, landing face up. She could see the next line from where she sat. "If you abandon her, she will come for you." The humming started again. Not from the mirror this time, from the air itself. A faint, vibrating sound that made the lamp on the nightstand flicker. The reflection in the motel window rippled like water. "Stop it," Emma whispered. "Just stop." But the reflection didn't listen. Her reflection turned its head toward her, just slightly, though Emma hadn't moved. Then it smiled. By morning, she was driving back to Holloway House. Every instinct screamed, "Don't go back!" But she couldn't fight the pull. It was as if invisible strings tugged her toward that cursed place, dragging her through the fog-soaked hills until the house appeared, gray, silent, waiting. When she stepped inside, the air felt colder than before. Dust motes drifted through shafts of pale light like ash. Somewhere upstairs, a floorboard creaked, slow, deliberate. She swallowed hard. "Lily?" she whispered. No answer. She walked to the base of the staircase, flashlight clutched tight. Every shadow seemed to lean toward her. The humming had stopped, replaced by faint weeping, soft, fragile, coming from above. Emma climbed the stairs, her heartbeat matching the rhythm of the creaks beneath her feet. The mirror was still there, hanging in the hallway, but now it looked wrong. The glass wasn't smooth anymore. It rippled, as if filled with smoke that moved on its own. In the reflection, The hallway looked brighter, alive, and in it, standing behind her reflection, was a small figure, a little girl. Emma turned, but the hallway behind her was empty. When she looked back, the girl in the mirror had moved closer. "Lily?" Emma whispered. The girl tilted her head. Her lips didn't move, but her voice filled the room, echoing from everywhere and nowhere. "You came back." Emma's breath caught. "What do you want from me?" The reflection flickered, the girl's image distorted, shifting between child and something older, hollow-eyed, mouth stretched too wide. "I want to go home," the voice said, "but I need you." Emma stepped closer, hypnotized. "How can I help?" The reflection smiled. "Touch the glass." Her hand lifted on instinct, but she stopped just before her fingers brushed the surface. "What happens if I do?" "You'll see." The girl's expression softened again, innocent, but behind her, Emma could see faint outlines of others, faces pressed to the inside of the mirror, pale hands scraping against the unseen surface. Dozens of them, maybe more. She stumbled back. No, you're lying." The humming returned, louder now, shaking the walls. Lily's reflection grew brighter, her eyes two burning orbs. "I can't lie," she said, voice layered. "Not one, but many. You're the one who doesn't remember." "Remember what?" The mirror flashed. For a second, Emma saw herself as a child, standing before the same mirror, crying. Her grandmother's voice echoed faintly in her mind. "Don't touch it, Emma. Promise me." And she had promised, but she had forgotten. Emma ran. She fled down the stairs, through the living room, out the front door, but the world outside didn't look right. The sky was pale gray, the trees too still. When she reached her car, her reflection in the window wasn't her own. It was Lily. "Let me in," the girl mouthed from inside the glass. Emma screamed, backing away. She stumbled into the driveway, looking around wildly. That's when she saw her grandmother, standing at the edge of the woods, dressed in the same blue housecoat from her funeral photo, eyes sunken, face soft with sorrow. "Emma," she called gently, "you shouldn't have come back." Emma froze. "Grandma?" Her grandmother nodded slowly. "She's not what you think she is. The mirror is older than this house, older than me. I tried to seal it, but it needs someone. It always needs someone." "What do I do?" Emma pleaded. "You run, and don't look back." But Emma did look back. The house was no longer empty. Every window glowed faintly from within, silhouettes moving behind the curtains, whispering shapes pressing their hands against the glass. In the upstairs hallway window, she saw Lily again, watching her with a blank, unreadable expression. Then, the front door slammed shut on its own. The humming stopped. Silence, total and crushing, filled the air. Her car wouldn't start. The key turned, but the engine refused to catch. Her grandmother's figure faded into the mist, lips moving soundlessly as the fog swallowed her. Desperate, Emma ran towards the woods. The forest was darker than she remembered. The deeper she went, the quieter it became. No wind, no insects, just the soft crunch of her shoes against dead leaves. And yet she could feel it, something following, watching. She glanced behind her and saw movement, not a figure, not quite, just the shimmer of glass between the trees, like mirrors hidden in the bark. Each one reflected her face, but not the same way. In one, she was smiling. In another, crying. In the next, she wasn't there at all. "Stop it," she yelled, spinning in circles. "What do you want from me?" From every reflection, her voice came back, hundreds of versions of her, whispering the same answer in unison. "Remember." When she turned again, the girl was standing there. Lily, barefoot, white dress torn, hair tangled, eyes wide and glassy. Emma took a shaky step back. "Why me?" Lily tilted her head, smiling faintly. "Because you're the only one left." Then she lifted her small hand, and for the first time, Emma saw what she was holding, a shard of broken mirror. Its edges shimmered like water.
Lily pressed it against her chest, and it sunk into her skin like liquid silver. The forest around them rippled, trees bending, light distorting, as if the world itself had become a reflection. Lily whispered, "Now it's your turn." The last thing Emma felt was the cold surface of glass spreading up her arms, pulling her inward. Hours later, the Holloway house stood quiet again. The mirror on the wall had gone still, its surface smooth and perfect. And when the morning light hit the glass, it showed a woman inside, standing very still, eyes wide with terror. Her name was Emma.
The realtor smiled too much. That was the first thing Daniel noticed as she led him through the hollow halls of Holloway House. Every step echoed, and the air smelled faintly of damp wood and dust, the kind of scent that told you time had stopped paying attention here. "It's a steal, really," the realtor chirped. "Old foundation, yes, but structurally sound. The last owner, well, she disappeared a few years back. No one's heard from her since. Her family just wants it off their hands." Daniel nodded absently, running his fingers along the banister. "Disappeared, huh?" The woman hesitated. "Probably just ran away. Happens more often than you'd think." He smiled faintly. "Sure." The floor creaked under his boots. Something about the sound made him pause. It was faintly rhythmic, almost like breathing. That night, he moved in. He didn't have much: a suitcase, a laptop, a few boxes of tools. He was a restorer by trade, specializing in old architecture, so the house was both a challenge and a project. He wanted quiet, solitude, a place where the ghosts of his own past wouldn't follow him. But the moment he unpacked, the house felt alive. The walls sighed when he walked by. The pipes murmured softly when he turned on the tap. And when he glanced at the tall mirror at the end of the upstairs hall, he could have sworn it shimmered. At first, he told himself it was his imagination, maybe the reflection of the lamp or the warped old glass catching light weirdly. But that night, when he passed it on the way to bed, he saw something move behind him. Something small. When he turned, the hallway was empty. By the second night, the dreams began. He dreamed of a girl standing in the forest, pale skin glistening like wet glass. She was whispering something he couldn't quite hear, just the same word, over and over, her voice echoing through his skull. Remember. Daniel woke up drenched in sweat. The clock read 3:11 a.m. He got up to splash water on his face, but when he looked in the bathroom mirror, his reflection was smiling. And he wasn't. He stumbled back, heart pounding. What the hell? The reflection's smile widened, then flickered. For half a second, he saw a woman's face overlapping his. Long hair, wide eyes, frozen in terror. Then it was gone. The next morning, he called the realtor. "Hey," he said, trying to sound casual, "you mentioned the last owner disappeared. You know her name?" There was a pause. "Emma Holloway, I believe. Distant relative of the original family. Why?" He looked at the mirror across the room, sunlight sliding over it, making the glass look alive. "Just curious." He didn't tell her that last night he'd heard whispering through the walls, a soft female voice calling that same name, Emma. Later that day, he found a journal tucked behind one of the dresser drawers. It was old, water-stained, the ribbon long gone. When he opened it, most of the pages were blank, except the last one. "She's still in the mirror. If you can read this, don't touch it. Don't look too long. She needs someone new." He frowned. He flipped the page over, but there was nothing else. Just that message written in shaky, rushed handwriting. When he looked up, the mirror was right in front of him. He didn't remember moving closer. That night, the humming started. It was soft at first, like wind through a pipe,
But then it grew deeper, vibrating through the walls until the bed frame trembled. The mirror glowed faintly in the dark, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. He sat up, breathing hard. "No," he muttered. "Not again." As if in response, the humming stopped. Then, from the reflection came a faint knock. Tap. Tap. He stared. The sound came again, from inside the glass. Slowly, Daniel stood, moving toward the mirror. His reflection moved too, but a split second too late, lagging behind him. He froze. "Who's there?" No answer. Just his reflection, but the eyes were wrong now. Darker, sharper. Then, very quietly, it whispered, "Help me." The next morning, the mirror was covered. He'd thrown a sheet over it, nailed it to the wall, sealed the room shut. He told himself it was over. He worked all day, sanding, painting, trying to drown out the unease that buzzed in his chest. But every now and then, he'd hear something from upstairs, a faint dragging sound, or a whisper that stopped when he listened too closely. At dusk, his phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have come back." He froze. His fingers trembled as he typed, "Who is this?" No response. Then, seconds later, "Look behind you." He spun around. Nothing. But the sheet that covered the mirror upstairs was gone. He ran to the hallway, breath shallow. The mirror was bare again, glowing faintly in the dim light. Inside it stood a woman, motionless, her hair floating around her as though she were underwater. Her face was familiar now. He'd seen her in the reflection before, in his dreams. Emma. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Then, behind her, another shape appeared, smaller, almost childlike. Lily. The girl smiled, her hand pressing against the glass. A spiderweb of cracks spread outwards from where she touched. Daniel backed away. No, I'm not part of this." The mirror pulsed like a heartbeat. Then, for just a moment, the reflection behind him changed. He saw himself, standing still, but with Emma's eyes. The lights flickered. Every mirror in the house, the bathroom, the hallway, even the dark TV screen, shimmered. In each reflection, Emma's face appeared, hundreds of her, whispering the same word. "Stay." Daniel screamed, hurling a chair at the main mirror. The glass shattered, but instead of shards, liquid silver poured out, rippling across the floor. It crawled toward him, like living mercury, coating his boots, his legs. He tried to run, but it pulled him down, fast, suffocating, cold. When the police came 2 weeks later, they found the house empty. Daniel's truck was still in the driveway, his belongings untouched. But in the upstairs hallway, the mirror had been replaced. A new one, spotless, unbroken. And if you stood close enough, if you looked carefully, just under the reflection of your own face, you could see two figures standing behind you. A woman and a man. Both very, very still.